morning, buenos dias, todos. I invite you all to please take your seats. Please take your seats so we can start. You know how we like to be on time. Again, good morning, everyone. I'm Father Ron Zanani with Nevada's for the Common Good in the Las Vegas area. Where we like to say what happens in Las Vegas goes to the ends of the earth. I'll be co-chairing with Maria Elena Manso. Before we get down to the business of today, we'd like to welcome and invite Bishop Gary Janak from San Antonio to give our opening prayer. We also welcome Bishop Kelly from Dallas, who is here with us again today. Bishop, if you would lead us in our opening prayer.
Yes,
En el nombre del Padre, del Hijo, del Espíritu Santo. Loving God, you came to give honor to those considered the least of our world, especially the forgotten and the overlooked. You came to give first place to the last, and those left behind, misunderstood and feeling undervalued. You offer welcome to the lost and to the abandoned, to those who search for refuge. Loving God, continue to be with us in this convocation. Be with us this day, for we ask for the strength to be for our brothers and sisters in need, your ears to listen to their cries, and your voice speaking to them of love and acceptance. Loving God, help us to be your feet walking beside those in need, and to be your hands to clothe, feed, and shelter those that deserve the best of this world. Loving God, you came for the least, the lost, and the last. May we be witnesses to them of your loving presence. In the name of Christ, who always welcomes a stranger, we pray. Amen. In the name of the Father, del Hijo, del Espíritu Santo.
thank you, Bishop Janak. Yesterday we spent more of our day together looking at the 5 years of the work that was done for the recognizing the stranger, reflecting on what we have accomplished and learned, and identifying key partners, and including none other than Pope Francis. So we are extremely blessed by the Holy Father's message and the encouragement we have that he gave us to continue this good work.
And then we reflected on the intersection of our organizing with the church's synodal process, how we have supported this process, and finally, we began to look to the future by engaging with some of our bishops who have supported us so well in this work and talking about next steps moving forward. This time we'd like to, for the rest of yesterday and all last night perhaps, you have had a chance to reflect and react on all that took place yesterday. We'd like to now hear from some of you about your own reactions from yesterday. This time we'd like to invite Father Bob Green to give us his reaction to yesterday.
Good morning. I'm Father Bob Camprini. I'm the judging pastor at St. Francis Xavier in Phoenix, Phoenix, Arizona. And I just want to take just a moment to express my gratitude, first of all, for the bishops who are here with us. And secondly, I'd like to thank my diocesan priest brothers who are here. Your presence here, even though when I got here I knew none of you, is a great support to me. I come from a diocese which is probably one of the fastest growing dioceses in the United States. Phoenix, believe it or not, is the 5th largest city in the United States. And yet at organizing meetings, clergy meetings, I have been the only Catholic priest who's shown up for 4 years. So the hope is that that's going to change as we have a wonderful new bishop. But your presence here today gives me a lot of courage and a lot of strength. And so I want to just begin by acknowledging you and thank you for being here. It gives me great hope as we go forward. So that having been said, I've been toying around with this whole notion of recognizing the stranger and how once the stranger is recognized, the stranger is no longer a stranger, but a person who is known, a person with dignity. And that's the journey that we take, is to break down those barriers of those who are unknown, give them dignity by coming to know them through the stories that they have offered us. Once a stranger is recognized, el extranjero no sigue siendo extranjero, sino una persona conocida, una persona con dignidad. People have dignity and are valuable and are found at the center of the story. We become una iglesia testimonial. I'm reminded that this Sunday's gospel is a story of the Transfiguration, the mystical experience on the mountaintop. This is what church looks like. Alive, inspired, energized, walking together and spirit-filled. Together, we become a new way of being church. I just want to close with what Mr. Ralph McLeod said yesterday. Heaven must look like this. Thank you.
Thank you, Father Rob. We'd like to call up a few other people to give just a quick reaction to yesterday, too. Laura Martinez, Father Bert Chilson, Gaza Alexander, if you come up and just stand at the microphones to give your reactions. Sister Maureen O'Connell, please come forward. I'm sure you're here. Any of you here?
Good morning. I am Laura Martinez, President of our Mother Church and leading conference for the common good. Thank you so much to the IAM for holding this vacation, for each and every one of you for being here. Yesterday was phenomenal for me. I have learned so much from each and every one of you, talking to you. What I know is that I want to make this happen in my parish, in my community, in my state. I want to make sure that each of us is not a stranger, that we get our dignity back, and that we can make a difference and advocate for those who actually can't and don't have a voice. So I'm really excited to continue learning and see what else I can do to bring everything that I've learned here into my community. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Sasha Alexander from California. Anyway, yesterday was awesome. I don't know if you guys felt it, but I felt so much inspired by all of you, because I saw what you guys were able to do in your own communities, and I said to myself, well shoot, we can do this in my community back home. We just actually had a delegates assembly on Sunday, and we're talking about what we were going to go back to our parishes about. So I'm so very happy that I was here today and yesterday, and learn ways that we can go and bring this back over there and energize our communities to do more change in the Bay Area. So thank you so very much for having us here.
Good morning, everyone. Buenos días. ¿Cómo amanecieron? Estás escuchado, ¿verdad? I'm Father Bert Chilson from St. Stephen Parish in Glenwood Springs, Colorado. And every time I get together with our community organizations, broad-based, and invited. There, I feel I'm with my people, mi gente. You know, that the Catholic Church can kind of be a ghetto, right? It can be very closed, in some ways more and more. When I get together here now with you, most of you are extranjeros, desconocidos, people I don't know, but feel that solidarity immediately. It's because of the stories that you tell, the stories that we share, knowing why we're here, that we're not being exclusive but inclusive. We're opening our tents and we're welcoming all. And this just lifts my heart. And it's such a blessing to be with you. Thank you.
I'm Sister Maureen O'Connell. I'm with the Archdiocese of Yellowstone, Houston. And what can I say after the people who went ahead of me? Just to say that this experience, both yesterday and I look forward to today, is such an opportunity for us to learn, to hear people's stories, and to know that these are real stories of real people who are struggling just the same as we are. But the important thing is to recognize that it's not those people there, it's us. That it's my story is the same as many of the people in this room. A story of hoping to be included, a story of wanting everyone to have a place at the table, a story of saying that we can do this if we do it together, and if we recognize that each of us has a story, but each story is of value. Thank you.
Okay, thank you all for sharing those reactions. I noticed something today. We have a lot of priests, and like Father Franrini said, that's very important. So I would like for all the priests that are here to stand up and we give them a round of applause because it's so important to have them. Stand up. Stand up. And we also want to applaud those that couldn't make it here today, but do a lot of work in however way to support the work that is done. So we want to thank them too for that. And let's not forget the leaders that are doing the actual work at the parishes and could not make it here for different reasons. So I really want us to be grateful for that, and really, even though they're not here to hear it, we hope that they feel this, a huge round of applause for all those leaders. One of those leaders is Maricela Acevedo, that couldn't make it here today, even though she's been doing a great job at her parish, and she wanted to be here. But documents is a really tough thing to do when you don't have what is needed to get on the plane. So we're gonna hear her story, and it's so important. So please let us hear her story.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Maricela Acevedo, soy una líder con Copa y soy organizadora con Mujeres en Acción.
We're recognizing everybody. This has been a lot of work done. So now we want to recognize the women in religions that have been historically helping the IEF through all these years. So can we give a round of applause? Can you stand up if you're here? All right, thank you. So now we want to move to the teaching item of the agenda. And you all should receive a copy of the complex text of the parish and also the part of the Pope Francis book, Let Us Dream. Hope you all had a chance to read this. And this Pope is going to lead us into teaching.
Buenos dias. My name is Liz Hall. I'm the lead organizer. I'm the lead organizer of our IIF organizations in the San Francisco Bay Area. I'm really happy to be here this morning in the warm weather because, believe it or not, it has been snowing in the San Francisco Bay Area. It is incredible, isn't it? $200 million for rental assistance, $700 million for workforce development, $1.8 million for mental health workforce, $3.5 million for neighborhood improvements, $20 an hour for classified school staff, the California Earned Income Tax Credit for ITIN filers, and 10,000 plus parish IDs. Give yourselves a round of applause. I could go on. Those are such impressive accomplishments and such important wins for families in our community. But that is not why we are here, really, is it? It's part of why we're here, but the issues are not why we're here. 4,000 leaders trained in 20 dioceses. That's pretty impressive. And that's getting closer, but is that entirely why we're here? No. Thank you. Now that is called a floor team. Recognizing the stranger is not a program. It is not just a great training that we're going to do every year until the time immemorial. Recognizing the stranger has been a strategy to deepen and strengthen what we do in the IAF all the time, which is to strengthen our capacity to do local parish organizing. You can clap for that. Yesterday, Archbishop Gustavo spoke about the importance of the parish. Parish is central to our life. Now, I want to be clear that the IAF is not the church, okay? But we partner with the church. We teach a set of habits and practices that when embraced and practiced and exercised over time can equip the parish to live out its public mission. And we do that because we believe fundamentally in the importance of the parish to public life. And I will tell you, I know there's no skeptics here, but I heard them mention yesterday, right? That is not just because parishes are full of people that we want to manipulate and take advantage of and mobilize for our own interests. Right? It's because Parishes do the critical work of human development. They make people human. Robert Sokolowski has a book called The Human Person, and he talks about the preconditions necessary for us to have a society, to have a republic. The parish is a precondition for us to live in a society, he says, because the city, our society can make citizens, but it cannot make human beings. And I think we see every day the consequences of people trying to engage in public life without an institution that can teach them how to be a person. That is why the parish is so important. So what we're talking about when we talk about recognizing the stranger is not a program or a project, it is cultural work. And it is the work of a lifetime. As Bishop O'Connell said to us yesterday in that video, it requires a total commitment. A sense of humor. How many of you, this is not a test, but I'm just curious, how many of you found, I won't ask how many of you read it, I will ask you, how many of you found that piece by Father Meridian on the complex task of the parish meaningful to you? All right, good. So some people must have read it. So Father Meridian starts out by writing about how many people feel like strangers in a strange land in this country. Surrounded by a culture of individualism that, as he quotes, threatens to tear apart our basic bonds and values. He talks about families who feel alone and alienated and are longing for community. He says that unfortunately many parishes that have long been the centers for that kind of community that can make us fully human have been impacted and torn apart by the same individualistic culture that's affecting our families and are not the communities that they could be. In fact, in the margin, first time I ever read in the margin of this piece, there's a quote from a previous writing from the Texas Catholic Conference that says, "A major task of today's parish is to bring the concept and experience of community back to God's people." Because without community, Father Meridian says, there is a temptation to retreat into a private and pietistic religion, where it's just me and God, and what we do on Sunday is we all gather to individually be worshiping. Does that sound familiar? This was written 45 years ago. We have our work cut out for us. Father Meridian describes some elements of parish development. We must engage in an active process of developing and strengthening the parish so that it can again become that kind of community. He says that there are 4 key principles of parish development, or 4 key lessons. The first is that authentic parish life must enable people to enter public life, to resist that temptation, to retreat into a private experience of religion. He says that parish development must provide ways for people to critique the culture, to critique what is happening in our common life through the lens of the gospel. That authentic parish development must foster mutual support and a sense of responsibility to one another, and that it must be about the development of a people with a common life, a shared identity, enduring loyalty, and not just about worship or human services, even though those are vital aspects of parish life as well. What do you think about that? Is that a vision worth pursuing? So organizing is that set of habits and practices. How do we do parish development? We can organize for parish development. It's a set of habits and practices, one-on-ones, house meetings, neighborhood walks, civic academies, research actions, public actions that enable a parish to more fully live out the mission of the church. That mission that is to be as Christ, priest, prophet, and king. The mission that is, as Elizabeth Valdez said yesterday, received in baptism, a sacrament of incorporation. Now, what does the word incorporation mean? Sorry, this is a very awkward place to be doing a training session. What does the word incorporation mean? Somebody stand up and tell me. To become part of the body. So in that moment of baptism, as every Catholic is incorporated into the body of Christ, into a Eucharistic community that together has that mission. Father Murdian says we are not just parish because we gather for Mass or together. People have to become parish. So over and over again, that's my understanding, and I'm looking out at all these bishops getting very worried here that I'm saying this incorrectly. But my understanding is that the Eucharist, is this right? The Eucharist is an action. And it is an action of incorporation to become the body over and over again. So am I correct about that, Bishop? Thank you. Before I go on, I needed to check. All right. So how do we do it? How do we do this parish organizing in a way that can invest in our capacity to become fully human and create institutions that can support families to do that, in particularly families who are strangers? Well, the first thing you need is a good team. And that is not a social justice committee. Some of you have made that mistake, right? We learn from experience. It's not a social justice committee because this isn't about social justice. This is about the threefold core mission of the church.